wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, Sir Iksan, and good morning to everyone. First of all, thank you in advance for your time and attention. Well, on this occasion, I would like to present a topic about trade-driven integrated management of rice field pest birds. All right. As we all know, farmers spend months to grow rice from the seeds, and those months of hard work can be lost because of bird attacks on the rice field. So, here are six main points that I would like to explain in this presentation. First is introduction, which I will explain the threat of pest birds and why behavior-based control is important. Second is ecological and behavioral traits of pest birds, which I will talk about the birds' ecological roles and behaviors that make them pest. And the third is pest management strategies based on bird traits, which we will discuss bird control methods that match their behavior and ecology for better results. Fourth is Indonesian contacts and innovations, which will highlight Indonesian efforts and new ideas in controlling pest birds. The fifth is international comparisons, which we will look at how other countries control pest birds and what Indonesia can learn from them. And the last is conclusion, which I will emphasize the need for an ecological and behavior-based approach that fits with pest bird traits. Next, we will talk about the importance of rice. As we know, rice is a major food source in Southeast Asia, and it provides 30% of the world's total production and 50% of calorie intake. Well, as the world population keeps on growing, rice production also faces many challenges, and one of them is pest birds, which becomes serious concern right now. But in the ecosystem, we have to take note that bird it's not always harmful. Birds are not always have negative roles. Some of them are beneficial, and some of them play important roles in the ecosystem. For example, hummingbird, which can act as a pollinator, Bali starling, which can act as a seed disperser, paddy, who feeds on insect, and egret, who can be an indicator of a healthy ecosystem. However, certain bird species really can cause crop losses by feeding on rice grains during critical growth stages, especially grain filling and ripening phase. So, why are birds considered agricultural pests? Actually, there are three main points. First is competing with humans for food sources. Actually, birds and humans have similar needs for rice grains as a carbohydrate source, and they directly reduce the harvest that would otherwise be consumed or sold by humans. Second is attacking in groups and at unpredictable times. Actually, birds often attacks in large flocks and usually in the morning and late afternoon. And their attacks can cause widespread damage in a short period of time. The last is can cause economic, ecological, and social losses. From the economic side, the bird attack can reduce yields and financial losses for farmers. From the ecological side, it can contaminate the healthy crops and cause environmental degradation. And from the social side, it can cause distress, concern, and potential zoonotic disease transmission that may affect the public health. So here are the rice-eating birds classification. The domain is Eukaryota, kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Eves, and order Passeriformes. Actually, there are other orders that can be classified as pests, for example, Columbiformes and Psittaciformes. For the order Passeriformes, the family is Astralidae, and the genus is Lonchura. Well, some species from genus Lonchura, known as flock-feeding species, and there are three of them that considered as main pests in Indonesia. First is Javan munia, Lonchura leucogastroides. Second is curly-breasted munia, Lonchura puncculata, and the last is white-headed munia, Lonchura maja. As we can see on the screen, the first picture is Bondol Jawa, which is a common name for Javan munia. And the characteristics are they have dark brown feathers and white belly. And the second picture is bondol packing, common name for Scalibur munia. And the unique characteristic is they have spotted patterns on the chest. And the last is bondol haji, common name for white-headed munia. And the unique characteristic is they have white feathers on the head. So there was a case in Bogor City which Lonjura attack can cause economic losses of up to approximately 2.5 million rupiahs per hectare, and with rice production reduced by up to 50%. Well, actually, the usual damage level is around 15% reduction. And the distribution of the genus Lonjura can be found at Southeast Asia, all over the countries, the South Asia in India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, in East Asia, in China and Japan, and some part of Africa, for example, Tanzania, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. So, how to identify bird damage? Actually, to identify bird damage, we have to check for tooth rice grains. It is a milky white substance that is present on the grains, and it indicates damage caused by birds feeding on young, soft rice grains. And second, we have to check for whitehead symptoms. Whiteheads actually are rice panicles that appear empty or white because the grains are either unfilled or have been removed. However, whiteheads can also be caused by stem borers. So, to identify the source of damage for the bird damage, only some grains are chaffy and the panicle remains firmly attached. And for the stem borer damage, all grains in the panicle are chaffy and the panicle can be easily pulled off. Next is the potential problems. In Indonesia and Malaysia, Munia species or Lonchura species dominate the rice fields. And as we can see from the diagram on the screen, studies in Aceh Besar and Selangor confirm that Munia or Lonchura species really dominates the rice field with approximately around 50%. Next is ecology and behavior of rice-eating birds. So there are four main characteristics. First is habitat preference. Lonchura often like habitat with rice fields, resemble natural habitats, wet and rich in food during the growing season. And Lonchura can take advantage of open fields, abundant food, and nearby nesting sites. Second is flocking behavior. Lonchura usually live and forage in groups, and feeding in groups is more efficient due to many eyes keeping watch for the predators. The third is foraging activity, which past birds in rice fields are active during the day, especially in the morning around 6 to 10 a.m. and afternoon around 2 to 6 p.m. And they tend to avoid intense heat and human activity during midday. The last is sensory sensitivity. Pest bird can detect threats through sight and hearing, and anything resembling a predator will be avoided. And they quickly adapt to passive deterrents such as scarecrows. Well, here are some pest bird control strategies, which we will discuss is from the visual deterrence, auditory deterrence, chemical deterrence, and removal deterrence. First, we will discuss about the visual deterrence. Visual deterrence is a tool designed to disturb or scare birds so they do not approach a certain area. Um, well, it can act as a visual threat. For example, scarecrows, reflectors, hawk balloons, aircraft, drone, and lights. Next is auditory deterrence. Auditory deterrence is sounds or noises designed to make birds feel scared or disturbed and causing them to avoid certain areas. For example, shotgun ammunition, firecrackers, automatic gas cannons, and AV alarm speakers. For the chemical deterrence, it can act as a bird repellent that use chemicals, which can make birds feel uncomfortable or unsafe and causing them to avoid certain areas. For example, are afitrol and Regex IT. The afitrol, it used in food bait, And birds that eat it become disoriented and behave strangely, for example, flying erratically. And other birds in the flock will panic when they see their peers behaving unusually and causing the entire flock to flee the area. For the rejects IT, the mode of action is a bird repellent made from natural ingredients containing methyl anthramelate, a compound naturally found in certain plants like comfort grapes. It is non-toxic but has a bad taste to birds. Next is removal deterrence. Well, this method involves capturing birds and releasing them far away from the site or permanently removing them. For example, through trapping, predator release, or surfactants. For example, net traps, birds are captured and then released in a distant, suitable location to prevent their return. Next is predator falcon. Use trained birds of prey, for example, falcons or eagles, to chase, scare, or kill pest birds. And next is surfactant, which is sprayed through a water cannon or sprinkler, and this substance penetrates the bird's feathers. Well, next we will talk about the bird management technology in Indonesia. In Indonesia, prototype bird deterrent was developed by Santriani AS et al. In 2024. Well, this paper explained that the prototype can reduce crop yield losses caused by bird attacks, especially from grain-eating birds like lonchura or munia. And the prototype itself combines visual and auditory elements, and the components are there are used milk cans, top and bottom removed, reflective paper, which can reflect light as a visual deterrent, metallic curtain that moves and glitters when blown by the wind, metal bells, which produce noisy sounds when swaying, and the last is predator eye accessories, which can create the illusion of a predator's presence in the field. Here are some data from the paper. First is species that identified in the study area. There are Javan munia, which the characteristics that I already explained. The feathers are dark brown from head to the tail, and the belly is white. And at the study location in Chaleles, it is found in abundance. And for the effective range of the prototype, around 3 meters. And for the bird frequency and population size, for the average arrival frequency of Javanmunia, as we can see from the graph, the control is 91 visits, and for the treatment, it drops to 22 visits. And the for average population, in the control, it is 108, and at the treatment, it drops to 48 birds. Next is the prototype also helps to reduce the mechanical damage and also can increase the yield by up to around 45% compared to the control area. So the advantages of the technologies are first is environmentally friendly, next is easy and inexpensive to make, does not disturb ecosystem balance, and the bird repellent device successfully reduced the frequency and number of birds coming to the rice fields within an effective radius of 3 meters, especially during the generative phase of the rice crop. And it is effectively reduced damage to rice panicles as shown by the lower yield loss in areas using the prototype. So more grain can be harvested. From an integrated pest management perspective, this innovative prototype has the potential to repel birds in the rice fields. Next, we will talk about the bird management in China. Actually, in China, the bird control system utilizes AI and Internet of Things technologies, and the system successfully detects the presence of birds and activates automatic response from sound and movement. So, the system consists of image capture unit, detection unit, and laser control unit. And farmers can keep track of their fields in real time through Telegram. And the potential application in Indonesia, bird pest control is a relevant issue and requires automation, environmentally friendly, and does not damage the environment and does not kill birds, and support smart farming because the use of IoT. To conclude, effective bird pest control approaches should be based on integrated pest management or IPM that is compatible and considers economic, ecological, and social aspects, and the use of environmentally friendly technology that is adaptive to bird habits, such as visual and auditory deterrence, as well as locally based innovation, significantly reduce the crop damage. And an integrated and threat-driven approach is one of the key of sustainable, efficient bird pest management that does not harm the ecosystem. Well, here are some references that support this presentation. Well, thank you for your time and attention. Um, I welcome if any one of you have any question or have something to discuss. Thank you.
Okay, maybe before we discuss, it's better to listen next presenter, then we will discuss after. Okay?
Oh, all right, sir. Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay. We will going to listen presentation by who next? Zahira maybe? Zahira, are you ready?
Oke, Pak, izin share screen.
Okay, you can.